Beneath the ordinary world lies a veil, and behind it, the voices of the lost still whisper.
We are your guides into the shadows, where true crime meets the paranormal.
From chilling crimes to haunted histories, we uncover the stories that refuse to rest.
This is Veil of Echoes.
A boy lies in his bed, eyes open, staring at the ceiling. The room is still, but the silence is alive. The air bends and groans, as though the house itself is holding its breath. Suddenly, the mattress jerks beneath him, sheets twist tight around his arms, pinning him in place. From the corner of the room comes a sound, faint at first. Scratch, scratch, scratch. It crawls across the walls, up the ceiling, until it feels like it's inside his skull. His mother rushes to him, praying, clutching her cross, but the boy doesn't answer her prayers. His lips move, his throat strains, and a voice pours out, low, mocking, ancient. It laughs at her faith. It spits in Latin. It knows her name. By morning, deep red welts cut across his chest. Letters and words. One message seared into the flesh of her son by something she cannot see. Something that wants her to watch. Soon, priests are called. They bless the house. They bless the boy. But blessings are met with violence. Holy water sizzles on his skin. Shadows lengthen across the walls, even with every light blazing, and the voice inside him rages, threatening, taunting, promising it will never leave. For weeks, the priests return, chanting, binding, pleading, their prayers swallowed by screams that shake the floorboards. And with every night, it becomes harder to tell if they're fighting a sickness of the mind or the devil himself. This is no campfire story, no Hollywood script. What happened in St. Louis, Missouri in 1949 would scar everyone who witnessed it and inspire one of the most terrifying films ever made. This is the story of the boy that they said was possessed. This is the exorcism that gave birth to the Exorcist.
Welcome to Veil of Echoes, where true crime collides with the paranormal, and the past refuses to rest.
We're your hosts. I'm Lyndsay.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Bria. Each week we guide you into the stories where reality and terror blur, where faith is tested, fear takes shape, and the echoes of the past refuse to be silenced. And before we begin tonight's case, we want to thank you, our listeners. Every follow, every review, every voice that joined us strengthens the chorus of echoes that carry this show forward. You are part of this journey, part of the veil we walk together.
And tonight, we step into one of the darkest possession cases in American history. A boy, a family, and priests who swore they faced something not of this world. The case that inspired The Exorcist. This is episode 7, the 1949 St. Louis Exorcism.
Before we begin, a warning. This episode contains disturbing details, including alleged demonic possession, physical torment, and themes of religion and faith. Listener discretion is strongly advised. These stories are heavy. We share them not to sensationalize, but to preserve the truth of what was witnessed, and to remember the lasting impact on those who lived through it. Before he became the subject of one of the most disturbing possession cases ever recorded, Ronnie Doe was just a boy. Born in 1935, he lived with his parents in a quiet 2-story home on Roanoke Drive in Cottage City, Maryland. A suburb so still that neighbors remembered the silence more than the noise. Ronnie was an only child, polite, intelligent, and gentle. He preferred books to baseball, piano lessons to playgrounds. Teachers said he was bright but fragile, easily discouraged, quick to tears when scolded. His father, a strict Lutheran, kept mostly to himself. His mother was devout and protective, hovering over Ronnie like a shadow of her own fears. And then there was Aunt Tilly, Matilda. Warm, eccentric, and endlessly curious about the unseen. Her parlor smelled of incense and old books, and hanging from her lamp cords were crystal pendulums that caught the light. She spoke openly of spirits, energy, and the thin curtain between this life and the next. On her table sat a wooden board etched with letters, a Ouija. When Tilly placed Ronnie's hands on the planchet and told him spirits could speak through it, the boy was fascinated. To him, it felt like faith coming alive, something wholly wrapped in mystery. But in February of 1949, Aunt Tilly died, and with her went the last bit of light in Ronnie's world. In his grief, he took the Ouija board home. He wanted just one more conversation with her, one last moment to feel she was still there. He asked questions into the dark, his trembling hands resting on the planchet. It began to move. Whether it was him or something else, no one could ever say. That night, the scratching started. At first, faint, like mice in the walls. Then louder. A slow, rhythmic scratch, 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 that crept from the attic to the floor beneath his bed. The family called pest control. Sections of wall and floor were torn apart. No rodents, no nests, no tracks. Just the smell of dust and something faintly metallic, like blood in the air. The bed began to move. At first, a soft tremor. Then, violent jolts that shook the frame against the floorboards. Objects fell from shelves, a Bible slid across the table, a vase shattered at his feet. And when his mother sprinkled holy water around the room, the bottle flew from her hand and smashed against the wall. Even the clock that had kept perfect time for years began to stop at random hours, its hands jerking backward, ticking in reverse before freezing again. The family turned to their pastor, Reverend Luther Miles Schultz, a man of faith and logic. He agreed to visit their home, skeptical but willing. He saw a chair slide several feet across the floor on its own and watched the boy's mattress quake violently beneath him. Later, Schultz wrote that the sound reminded him of a train roaring beneath the house, something no human hands could cause. Soon, the disturbances began to follow Ronnie. At school, his desk rattled. Books slammed open as if he caught in a gust of wind no one else could feel. And then came the markings. Raised welts, red, fresh, appearing across his skin, forming words as his parents watched in horror. hell, evil. Whatever had entered their home was no longer content to make noise. It wanted to be seen. And it was just getting started. So I have a question for you guys. If this was your child, if you saw scratches spelling words across their skin, would you still search for a logical explanation, or would you start to believe something darker had been taken hold?
Something darker. I mean, for real, if my kid has writing on their body that says hell or evil, there's no logical explanation for that.
Yeah.
I mean, unless he's like, here, I'm going to do it to myself, which, you know.
I mean, I would probably be, I don't know. I'd be freaked out.
I'd just be like, you okay, buddy?
Like, what would you do? Would you just be like, all right, we're going to the hospital?
I'd be like, all right, where's the priest?
Or is that where you go to first?
Who do I need to contact?
Yeah.
Get out your contacts for me and tell me which priest I need to get a hold of. Because,
well, especially if it spells out hell and evil on his chest. Nope. Mm-mm.
Like, hello. Hello. I'm going to spell hell on your chest here. No, I'm going to spell evil.
Yeah, well.
But it's just a cold. That was the explanation.
Yeah, that's probably what they would say, too.
No. This was pure evil.
Mm-hmm.
By February 1949, the strange occurrences assigned the Doe home had grown violent. No prayer seemed to stop them. No blessing brought relief. At first, the family clung to reason. They moved Ronnie's bed away from the wall, thinking vibrations might explain the shaking. They replaced furniture, inspected wiring, even called pest control again. But the noises didn't stop. They evolved. The scratching began to mimic footsteps. The knocking followed them from room to room. And then came the night Ronnie's mother whispered, "Is someone there?"
Sorry, it's just creepy.
Oh, I thought you were shaking your
No,
head.
no. I don't. I told you I don't do religious stuff. It creeps me out.
The walls replied. 3 deliberate knocks. Slow and hollow. The supposed mockery of the Holy Trinity. Every night pressed tighter around them. The air grew heavy, charged, as though the house itself was holding its breath. Ronnie screamed in his sleep, thrown from his bed by invisible hands. Crucifixes swung violently on their nails. The family cat hissed at empty corners. Even daylight no longer felt safe. Desperate, his parents turned once more to Reverend Luther Miles Schultz, a man of scripture, not superstition. But after watching a chair slide across the floor and the boy's mattress thrash as if something lived beneath it, the Reverend could only whisper, "This is not of this world." He invited Ronnie to stay the night at his home, hoping a change of setting would break the illusion. But illusions don't move furniture, and illusions don't scratch at walls that have no seams. That night, Schultz and his wife heard the sound of dripping water in the boy's room. But when they entered, the air was still, dry, and cold. They prayed aloud, clutching their Bible. Ronnie's eyes fluttered open, and a flower pot on the windowsill shattered against the wall. Schultz later wrote, "I began the Lord's Prayer, and the boy's chair moved 3 feet from the table. He did not seem to notice." By dawn, Schultz told the family quietly, "This is the devil's work." Soon after, a relative in St. Louis, one who had heard of Jesuit priests experienced in matters of possession, urged him to seek help from the Catholic Church. She said the Jesuits knew rituals older than time itself. So in early March 1949, the family gathered what little courage they had left and boarded a train heading west. Witnesses later said the air in their compartment turned icy cold. The lamps flickered in rhythm with the boys' breathing. One man swore he heard something scratching beneath their seats. Another claimed the shadows in the window glass moved with Ronnie's wasn't looking. When they arrived in St. Louis, they stayed with relatives near St. Louis University. For 2 days, the house was still. Then, as if it was waiting, it begun again. At night, Ronnie's scream echoed down the hallway. He said something was clawing his back. When his mother lifted his shirt, she found the scratches. Long, deep, and bleeding fresh. The family's cousin reached out to Father Raymond Bishop, a Jesuit priest known for his calm reason and steady faith. When he entered the home, the temperature dropped. His breath fogged in front of him. Bishop placed a small bottle of holy water on the nightstand. Minutes later, it shot across the room and shattered. The boy's eyes rolled back, and a guttural voice rose from his chest. Go to hell. Bishop stood frozen. The sound didn't come from Ronnie's throat. It came from everywhere. The walls, the floor, and the air itself. He left that night shaken, but returned the next evening, this time with another priest, Father William Bodern, a man whose faith would soon be tested beyond measure. Together, they began a series of prayers that would mark the start of one of the most grueling exorcisms in American history. The air itself seemed to recoil from the sound of Latin. Ronnie screamed. The bed convulsed, and somewhere in the shadows, something laughed. From that moment on, the priests would never again be certain if they were fighting for a boy's soul or for their sanity. I mean, at this point, when a priest witnesses furniture moving and hears the voice that isn't human, or what have you would have done next?
I'd probably piss myself.
I was about to say I'd piss myself. 100%. I mean, when you throw the holy water, that's yeah. That's right.
I mean, they've all
gives me
witnessed this.
goosebumps.
They say they've all witnessed this. They've seen the bed convulsing when he was just laying there, and they heard these noises coming from his mouth, but sounding like it was coming from all around him instead of directly out of him. So that right there is a little... That tests sanity for sure, but...
It's just kind of like The Conjuring 2 with Bill Wilkins.
Everything.
I mean, seriously, they sat there and didn't look at her, and he talked the entire time.
Yeah.
He's like, put this water in your mouth. Okay. This is still my house.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I feel like all exorcisms, kind of have that in common that I hear.
That's what it seems like.
Exorcisms just suck.
Because most of them, they try to hide. I mean, obviously this one, the priest didn't even want any of this out until after he died.
No, of course.
Someone got a hold of his journals, and that's...
Yeah, I don't know what they think we're going to fear when finding out, but...
Yeah.
March 1949. Ronnie arrived in St. Louis, pale and trembling, his small frame swallowed by oversized clothes. He was only 13, yet his eyes looked older, hollow, sleepless, and dim. The family hoped distance would bring peace, but evil doesn't care about distance. It follows the invitation. The scratching began again their very first night. The house seemed to breathe with it, a slow, dragging rhythm from the walls to the ceiling, closer each time. A crucifix above his bed swayed gently, though no air stirred. The next morning, his mother found a new word scratched onto his chest. Lewis. As if something already knew where they were headed. That afternoon, Father Raymond Bishop returned. He placed a small bottle of holy water beside the bed and began to pray. Minutes later, the bottle shot across the room and shattered. Ronnie's head jerked backwards. His voice, deep, wet, and cruel, muttered words in Latin he had never learned. I'm going to take a brief moment to let our audience know I'm going to very much butcher this, but you're just going to have to deal. Dues na me tanger. God will not touch me. Bishop left shaken, but he came back the next night with another priest, Father William Bowdern, a man whose faith was absolute. They brought relics, candles, and the ancient Latin text of the Roman ritual. The moment they began, Ronnie's body tensed. His face twisted in agony as the mattress bucked beneath him. Bowdern's voice rose over the chaos. I can't do it.
Exorcizo te immundizame spiritus.
Exorcizo te...
Exorcizo
Exorcizo te...
immundizame
spiritus.
I feel like I'm in Harry Potter or something.
The boy who came to live comes to die. Honestly, that's the only thing I know of Harry Potter.
Okay.
All right, say it one more time.
I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but exorcizo
te
immundizame spiritus.
Okay, fuck it. Fucking motorcycle. You done? You done? Bowdern's voice rose over the chaos. Exorcizo te immundizame spiritus. And Ronnie screamed. A sound so raw and inhuman, it cracked the plaster. The air filled with the stench of sulfur and burning metal. The candles flared, wax dripping down like tears. A mark appeared on his leg. The word, hell, carved deep into his skin. Night after night they returned, always after sunset, always armed with a prayer. Bishop's diary reads, 9:15 p.m. Bed began shaking. 10:30, boy entered trance. 11:40, stench unbearable. 3 a.m., mocking laughter. Each entry darker than the last, less clinical, more desperate. By the second week, time blurred. The priests took turns holding Ronnie down while his body convulsed. His laughter shifted from high-pitched giggles to deep animal growls that rattled the windows. The candlelight warped their shadows across the walls, but sometimes those shadows moved on their own.
I just got goosebumps up my one leg.
Was it your left leg?
Yes, it was. Don't do that to me. This Exorcist book is on this left side of me.
Here, you want to put it over here?
Yeah, you take it.
I'll take it. I ain't scared.
That thing is cursed. Just saying. We got the new Exorcist. What the fuck is it? I can't think. The original Exorcist book, but it is collector's edition, and it's like lime. Is it lime green?
That's lime green.
I don't know, but it's creepy. And in the front, it has William Peter Blatty down, like it's in the Exorcist. Looks like a cross. Anyways, and it glows in the dark. So I was like, I'm gonna go in the bathroom and see if
It actually works.
Yeah. Well, as soon as I went in the bathroom, all I had to see was the name start glowing with the cross, and I was like, nope, I didn't even have the door all the way.
Fuck this, I'm out. Nope.
And then Zach went in there.
I think Zach really was the one who got fucked over by it.
He got in there to see for himself. And what did you see?
I just saw the cross highlight and glow like it was supposed to and illuminate her smile, and then my door got jammed and wouldn't open.
What was the girl's name in it?
Reagan. Yeah.
It was Reagan.
Ew, she's staring at me looking. You look at Lyndsay.
Hey, guess what, bitch?
Anyways, palate cleanser, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Crosses bent backwards on the walls. A chair slid to the center of the room and stopped at Ronnie's bedside, as if waiting. When holy water touched his skin, it hissed and steamed. The sheets burned and spots where droplets landed. The priests slept in shifts, minutes at a time. Their hands blistered from gripping the crucifix too tightly. One assistant fainted. Another fled and never came back. Still, Bodern refused to stop. His knuckles split and bled, but he kept chanting the Latin through a cracked voice. On the 12th night, Ronnie laughed and began speaking in perfect Latin and German, languages he's never studied. He recited scripture backwards. A table lifted off the floor and slammed down hard enough to split the leg. Then came the moment that nearly broke them. As Bowdern pressed a crucifix to Ronnie's forehead, the boy's eyes opened. Black. Both solid black. He smiled and whispered, "I am Legion." The lights exploded. The room went dark. When the candles were relit, the words hell and evil had reappeared, carved freshly into his chest. Weeks passed. The priests grew gaunt, hollow-eyed, their robes stiff with sweat and wax. By Palm Sunday, Ronnie was moved to the Alexan Brothers Hospital, a small psychiatric wing that smelled of antiseptic and candle wax. They hoped sacred ground would make a difference.
Father Bishop's final entries described a night that felt like the end of the world. April 18th, 1949. The boy convulsed violently. His voice dropped into a growl that shook the metal bed frame. Bodern's crucifix bent in his hand. The walls began to crack like bone. Then, silence. Absolutely suffocating silence. And then a voice that wasn't Ronnie's filled the room, strong and commanding. It shouted, "Satan, I am Saint Michael, and I command you to leave this body now. Ronnie arched backward so hard, the bed frame snapped. A shriek echoed through the halls, so loud that the nurses on the floor stopped in their tracks. Then the light flickered once, twice, and went out. When they came back on, the smell of sulfur was gone. The air was cold, but still. For the first time in months, there was peace.
When Ronnie opened his eyes, his face was calm. He looked at Father Borden and smiled, a small, fragile smile. He whispered, "It's over." The scratches faded before their eyes. The room fell silent except for a clock that had stopped a week earlier, now ticking again. The priests fell to their knees and wept.
Father Bodern never spoke publicly about what he saw. When asked, he simply said, "I know that I believe." Ronnie grew up, changed his name, moved away, and never spoke of what had once spoken through him. But those who faced it never forgot. Some dreamt of scratching in the walls. Others heard whispers in Latin when they prayed alone. And years later, when the Alexian Brothers Hospital was demolished, workers claimed they found a locked room sealed with bricks. Inside, claw marks on the walls. Whatever left that boy in 1949 might not have left for good.
Okay. So if you guys stood in that hospital room, if you heard that voice, saw those marks vanish, felt the air turn to ice, what would you believe? Would you call it faith or fear?
I mean, it's obviously something out of this world.
It's extremely something out of this world. I'm going to say faith.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm going to go with.
Ugh. Like I said, religion stuff, just like clowns scare you, Lyndsay, this stuff creeps me out.
Yeah, well, clowns can go fuck themselves.
I'd rather deal with a clown.
I would much rather deal with Reagan fucking 360 head type bullshit than deal with somebody with a fucking painted face. No.
Yeah, but I don't know. I wouldn't. Obviously, I mean, how could you not believe after seeing all that?
I know this is going to sound really weird, but I honestly would like to watch an exorcism.
Well, yeah.
That'd be interesting.
I really kind of want to watch one. Like an actual one, not something from fucking Hollywood.
Right.
A real one. A good one.
Yeah.
Like, what's her name? What was that movie called? Emily Rose?
The Last Exorcism of Emily Rose?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was creepy. When the last prayer was spoken and the candles were snuffed, the Jesuit priest packed away the crucifix, the relics, the diary pages stained with wax and sweat. What remained was silence. Father Raymond Bishop gathered every entry into a single report for the church. His notes were brief, clinical, but between the lines, you can feel the fear bleeding through.
Bed moved again. Voice unnatural. Priest shaken. Odor of sulfur.
The church reviewed his testimony and quietly labeled the case resolved. No celebration, no proclamation, only a whisper among clergy that true evil is patient and rarely leaves when dismissed.
Father Bodern returned to his parish work, but those close to him said he was never the same. He slept little, he muttered prayers in Latin, when he thought no one could hear. And sometimes he said he felt something standing at the foot of his bed.
When he died in 1983, the crucifix used in the exorcism lay on his nightstand, the silver edges worn smooth by decades of trembling hands.
The Jesuit students who assisted him, Walter, Halloran, William Van Roo, and others, had nightmares for years. Some said they heard scratching behind the walls of the seminary. Others swore the faint smell of sulfur drifted through the chapel during evening mass, and then vanished.
And then there was the hospital.
The Alexian Brothers Hospital kept meticulous records, yet the file on Ronnie Doe disappeared. Staff later said the entire wing where the exorcism occurred was permanently closed after that April night. They claim that even when empty, the corridor echoed with footsteps and the faint jingle of rosary beads. Orderlies whispered that light still pulsed beneath the sealed door, a flicker like candlelight, and that the air turned icy whenever anyone passed by.
More than one worker fainted inside, so the brothers sealed the room, bricked the doorway shut, and reassigned the floor to storage. When the hospital was finally demolished decades later, construction crews found that section still intact. Crucifix rusted, paint blistered, claw marks gouged deep into the plaster.
As the demolition cameras rolled, one microphone caught a hollow, metallic knock from deep inside the debris. The technician swore. The waveform spelled the word help. That clip never aired. Not everyone sees this as proof of the demonic. Psychologists say Ronnie may have suffered from trauma, grief manifesting as physical reactions. Others think the priests, desperate for miracles, mistook illness for possession. Maybe the devil they fought wasn't in the boy, but in the fear of everyone trying to save him.
And yet, the documentation remains. The diaries, the witnesses, men of faith who never sought fame, only understanding. If this was hysteria, it spread through everyone who entered that room, and it left scars that never healed.
So I'm just thinking, if you knew a hospital had sealed a room after an exorcism, bricked it shut for decades, would you want to open it and see what was left inside? Or would you leave it buried?
Open it.
I already know what Lyndsay's answer is.
Open it. Yeah.
Why not?
It's just creepy how they, when they demolished it, they still seen the hospital or that room sealed off with a crucifix and scratches.
I want to know what the scratches are.
From whatever it was inside of him, I guess.
Well, was it Bill Wilkins?
Good possibility.
I'd rather it be Bill Wilkins and whatever was in whatever that was.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, though, the person that was puppeteering Bill Wilkins, the nun.
Nope. Don't.
That one was pretty Valak.
She terrifies me.
Yeah. She's one of my favorites.
Terrifies me.
That was the only movie, though, that actually scared me for once in my life when that first came out because of the damn music.
It wasn't even the music. It was her creeping around in the dark with her creepiness. And
she's just like, hey, I'm here.
Like a nun is supposed to be
When she comes out
sacred and nice. Well, I don't know. Those nuns in the Albert Fish.
I was about to
those
say,
are not nice nuns.
You ever met the nuns from like the early 1900s? There was something wrong with them.
Yeah.
They
I know.
beat children.
But my grandma's aunt was a nun, and she was a very sweet old woman.
Well, I guess we can't say that about all nuns.
That's what I'm saying. Some are just fucked up.
Some are very fucked up.
Yeah, that's the eyewitnesses watching them throw babies out the window.
Bye, Johnny.
It's fucked up.
Father Raymond Bishop's diary, the record of the exorcism, was never meant to be read by anyone outside the church. He wrote it by candlelight after each session, his hands shaking, ink blotted where the pen trembled. Those pages were sealed inside the Jesuit archives at St. Louis University, locked away behind iron cabinets. For decades, the church refused to confirm the story. And when Bishop died, his only request was that the journal never be made public. But secrets don't stay buried. After his death, a copy quietly surfaced, passed between clergy, researchers, and journalists. By 1971, excerpts appeared under the title The Exorcism of Roland Doe. Whole sections leaked into books and newspaper archives. The handwriting is careful but haunted. Every entry begins the same way. 8:15 p.m. began prayers. Bed shook violently. Boy growled. The final page ends abruptly. The child had appeared calm. No farther phenomena. No signature. No amen. Only a dark scorch mark where a candle had burned through the parchment.
Some say the diary should have stayed hidden, that certain truths carry a weight we're not meant to hold. Others believed it was meant to be found, so the rest of us would never forget what faith sounds like when it's cornered by fear. Maybe that's the real curse of this case, not what happened in that room, but the fact that once you read those words, you can't unread them.
When fragments of that diary reached the public, one man was listening. William Peter Blatley, a student at Georgetown University. He read a small headline in the Washington Post. Priests freeze boy reportedly held in devil's grip. That single line became the seed of his 1971 novel, The Exorcist.
Blatley changed names, but the bones stayed the same. A child possessed, priest locked in battle with something ancient, faith tested to the breaking point. When William Friedkin turned it into a film 2 years later, the horror followed. During filming, a fire destroyed the set, except for the bedroom where the possession scenes were shot. Actors were injured. A crew member died. The cast insisted on daily blessings before shooting.
Kind of reminds me of the Possession movie with the Dybbuk box. How it burned everything.
Yep. Dybbuk.
All the props.
When the movie hit theaters in 1973, audiences fainted. Paramedics were stationed in the aisles. People claimed to feel a chill sweep through the theater when the crucifix appeared on screen. And all of it traced back to a journal a priest never wanted the world to read.
Since then, The Exorcist has become legend. Retold for 50 years, spawning sequels, documentaries, and endless debates about faith and fear. But behind the spinning heads and movie screams lies a real child. A quiet room in St. Louis, and pages written by candlelight that were never meant for us. Maybe the possession ended in 1949. Maybe it never did. Because evil doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Through paper, through film, through the echoes we keep repeating. So when you watch The Exorcist now, knowing it was born from a true case, does it still feel like fiction, or does it feel like something the church was trying to warn us about?
The church was trying to warn us. I'm 100% on that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that movie terrifies me. I haven't watched it in a long
I kind of want to go home and watch it now.
Yeah.
I kind of do.
Wasn't that Jeffrey Dahmer's favorite movie? And that scene.
That explains a lot. That explains a lot. Maybe that explains a lot with me. I'm not even going to ask that question anymore about myself.
The guy who ended up escaping, he was making him watch The Exorcist.
Oh, he was, wasn't he?
Where are you going?
Or was it the third Exorcist? It was one of them that.
Yeah.
You're going to lay down here with me and watch this, huh? We're going to watch The Exorcist. This is what we're going to do.
A little bit of torture beforehand. So what do we make of this? The 1949 St. Louis exorcism. Was it truly a battle between good and evil? Or the breaking point of a family haunted by grief? Psychologists have called it hysteria. Others, a desperate act of faith against something they couldn't name. But if it was only hysteria, how did so many witnesses, priests, nurses, neighbors, see the same impossible things? A boy's body twisting with unnatural strength, voices that shifted mid-sentence, words carved into flesh that vanished before their eyes. Whether you call it spiritual warfare or psychological collapse, it forces us to confront the same question the priest did. What do you do when science fails to explain what's standing right in front of you?
I'm just curious. Do you guys believe this?
I do.
It's a really hard one. I mean,
I want to say I do, just because there's several witnesses.
And like they said, it wasn't just all done at his house in his hospital room. Like wherever he went, this thing followed. And if it was an act, then there had to be something attached. And
yeah,
this attachment was unseen, unnatural.
Yeah.
Evil.
100%. It was an evil bitch.
Creepy.
I'm telling you, it would have been a wild scene to see. You're just like, what the Especially that part described when it says he twisted so hard his back broke the bed frame.
Ugh.
You know, I have a feeling that this movie would be something to watch when you take shrooms.
I feel like that would make it more terrifying.
I can only
Exactly.
imagine.
That's why. It would add a whole new persona onto that movie.
Oh, God. Yeah?
I do not condone drugs. Just saying.
Yeah. It makes me wonder that... Could you imagine being this Ronnie, wherever he is now, would you do the same thing? Like,
What about his mother?
yeah,
Yeah.
Poor baby.
I know.
I couldn't imagine being him, but from her perspective, she tried to do all she could. She called these people she thought would save him, and this carried on for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine watching Lane or Jensen.
Yeah, no. I'm going to tell you right now, if anything tries to take over my nephews, it's going to have to go through me.
It's gonna have to. Well, don't say that. What was that? Don't say that, because that's what happened apparently to
That's what happened in the third Conjuring.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, the third one where
the devil made me do it.
yeah, the Ed tells the boy don't talk to it,
Yeah.
and guess what?
Yeah.
But telling me not to talk to it's gonna make me want to talk to it.
Oh, I know.
Unfortunately, I am that person who is never gonna learn my lesson.
Yeah, make life interesting somehow.
Hell yeah, buddy. And what lingers after an exorcism? The Jesuit tried to seal that wing forever, but energy like that doesn't fade. Witnesses said the air there stayed cool, heavy, as though the walls themselves remembered. Years later, prayers whispered near the old foundation were answered by 3 soft knocks from the dark. Even the brothers who bricked the room shut refused to speak of it again. They said the silence felt watched. Today the hospital is gone, but visitors still swear the ground feels colder there. Maybe it's faith, maybe it's imagination, or maybe some doors never truly close.
And that concludes this episode of Veil of Echoes. Thank you again to everyone who's listened, followed, and shared our show. Your support keeps the veil open for us to tell these stories, and for others to find their way through it. Remember, we bring you true crime cases every Monday and paranormal stories every Friday. And through October, our special Halloween minisodes every Wednesday, little bursts of darkness to keep the veil thin all week long. If our stories have stayed with you, take a moment to leave a rating or a short review on your favorite app. It might seem small, but every single one helps more listeners step through the veil with us. Make sure you're following Veil of Echoes so you never miss what's next.
This Monday, we move from possession to pure predation. The man who branded himself with 3 chilling letters. BTK. Bind, torture, kill. For decades, he stalked Wichita, Kansas, hiding behind the mask of an ordinary neighbor.
He was a husband, a father, a church leader, and a monster named Dennis Rader. A killer who taunted police with coded letters and photographs, obsessed with control and desperate to be remembered. Next week, we open his file and step inside the mind of the BTK killer.
Until then, keep your ears open.
And the veil closed.